Hello, welcome to week 3 of online learning. After this one, only 2 more for you to go. You're so close. This week, we're going to talk about polynomial functions and their graphs. You're not going to have to make anything super specific. We're just going to sketch them out and we're going to identify a few things looking at an equation. So the first thing is standard form. We're going to use this a lot this week. And so standard form, the terms are in order. Highest exponent to lowest exponent. So we are going to put things in standard form. We're going to put them from highest exponent to the lowest exponent. And I'll show you in a minute what that looks like. The next thing is the degree. And so the degree of all of these functions is the highest exponent. So whatever the highest exponent is in the equation, that is going to be the degree. And then the last thing, the leading coefficient, that's the number in front of the equation. When the equation's in standard form. All right, so once the equation is in standard form, then whatever number is in front, that is the leading coefficient. So we're going to do 2 examples looking at this. All right, so we're going to have to write it in standard form, identify the degree and the leading coefficient. All right, so first, standard form. So we have to put the highest exponent to lowest exponent. All right, so if we're looking at exponents, this has a 2, this one has nothing at all, and this one has a 3. So since the 3 is the biggest, this whole piece is going to go first. So we're just going to rewrite the f of x equals, this has the biggest exponent, so it's going to be 7x to the third power. Then you go the next highest, so this has a 2, so that's going to be next. So plus 2x squared, and then this negative 1 right here doesn't have any exponent, so it's going to go last. Now, for our degree is whatever the highest exponent is. So in this case, if we're looking, our highest exponent is 3, so our degree is just 3. You just take whatever the biggest exponent is, and that is your degree. Now for our leading coefficient, LC, I'm going to abbreviate that because that's a lot of writing, is whatever number's in front once it is in standard form. So we wrote it in standard form. So whatever number's in front, in this case, it's a positive 7. So our leading coefficient is just 7. It's whatever number's in front becomes your leading coefficient. And that's it for part A. We're going to do this one more time. So we're first going to do standard form. All right, standard form. And so we got to do highest exponent to lowest exponent. So we start with f of x. Now we have a 4, a negative 2, and an invisible 1. So the x to the 4th is going to go first. Then we have a negative 2. Now, in this case, we don't really like to keep negative exponents. So when it's negative, last week we kicked it to the bottom. So it's going to be negative 3 and then 1 over x squared, because 2 is the next. And then we're going to do minus 5x. So it's in standard form, highest exponent to lowest exponent. Now we need to do the degree. And so that's whatever the highest exponent is. So in this case, our highest exponent is 4. So the degree is just 4. And now we also have to do our leading coefficient, abbreviated by LC. And that's whatever number's in front once in standard form. Now, if we're looking at this in standard form, you go to the front, you're like, Miss Kitchens, there is no number there. Now, whenever there is not a number in front of the X, it's always an invisible 1. So in this case, our leading coefficient is going to be 1. So it's whatever number is in front, and if there's nothing written there, it is just a 1. So that's the first half of this week. If you can write things in standard form, highest exponent to lowest exponent, degree, just whatever the biggest exponent is, and the leading coefficient, whatever number is in front, once it is in standard form. You have to make sure that for the leading coefficient, you are looking at the standard form version. All right, now we're going to go into the second half of this week. And so this is going to be sketching these kind of equations. So I put a little table together. All right, so degree even and leading coefficient positive. So if we were to look up at this example, this degree is 3. Now, that would mean it is an odd number, and our leading coefficient is a positive 7. So in this case, we'd go to odd and positive, so it would be right here. And so whatever we're going to sketch here would be what this graph would look like. So I'm going to first start by drawing the axes for each one of these. All right, so now, when you think even, I always think pair when I think even, right? 2, 4, 6, a pair of pants, a pair of shoes, you always have 2. It's even number. Pairs, they go together. So when you have these 2 even ones, when our degrees are even, like here, how it's 4, that's an even number. All right, they're both going to go together. Now, positive, I usually think up. So for positive, I think up, and even, I think together. And for even, I think together. But for negative, I think down. So this case, we're going to have our ends together and up, and here we're going to have them together and down. So for whenever it's an even degree with a positive number in front, the graph looks something like this. And whenever you have an even, but it's negative in front, it's going to look something like that. Now, odd, I think opposite. So odd, I think opposite. And for positive, I think up on right. And for negative, I think up on left, and odd is still opposite. All right, so in this case, it's going to be odd, but opposite, which means they're going to be going opposite directions, and it's going to be up on the right. So we're going to start up on the right, and then instead of going back up like this even one, we're going to go down. All right, now this is odd, opposite, and it's going to be up on the left because it's negative. So we start up, and instead of going up like the even, we're going to continue going down to make it the opposite. And so then this is all kind of I'm expecting is to have one of these 4 graphs next to an equation. So we have a couple on the back side of this. All right, so if we look at letter A, all right, so now our degree is what we have to look at first. So in this case, our degree is our highest exponent. So our highest exponent is 3, which is an odd number. Our leading coefficient in this case is a negative because the number in front is a negative. All right, so whatever the odd and negative was from the other side, that's what we're going to draw. So if we look back at our side, we go odd and negative is this right here. And so then this is what we draw. So we draw our axes, odd and negative, looked loosely like that. And that's what I'm looking for. So let's do the next one, letter B. All right, so we start with our degree. And our degree in this case, highest exponent is 3, which again is odd. And our leading coefficient, in this case, this is a positive because there's no negative there. So we want odd and positive. So if you look back at the other page, odd and positive looks like this right here. So then we're just going to sketch something that looks like that. So we start by drawing our axes, and odd and positive looks like that. If you notice, odd and negative and odd and positive are just flipped versions of each other. All right, we have 2 more we're going to do quickly. All right, so for letter C, if we look at our degree, our highest exponent in this case is 4, which is even. And then our leading coefficient, we have a negative, so it's going to be negative. All right, so even and negative, they're going to go together. And negative to me says down. So you can look at the other sheet again. But I'm already thinking even together and negative going down. And so that means they're both going to go down. But if you're like, I definitely want to pull that off right away, you can always look back, even, negative, it's going down. We have one last one to look at. So in this case, our degree, our highest exponent is 4, which is an even number. And our leading coefficient, in this case, there's no negative sign, so it's positive. All right, so we have an even degree, so that means they're going together. And positive means up. So they're going to be going together and up. So it'll look something like this. And if you notice, even and negative and even and positive are just flipped versions of each other as well. So those are the notes for this week. So now you can take the time to do the homework and the performance task. I need both things submitted this week, not just one. I hope you have a great day, and if you have any questions, I look forward to hearing from you in an email or through conference. Have a great day.